The night air in Rome wrapped around the city like a thick cloak, shrouding it in an unsettling stillness. In the hushed shadows of the Vatican guest quarters, Cardinal Caleb Mendoza found himself lost in the realm of dreams. A child of Manila, forged in the fires of hardship yet guided by unwavering belief, he was intimately familiar with the essence of dreams. Yet, this one held a unique essence. There, beneath the majestic dome of St. Peter's Basilica, he discovered a white rosary resting quietly. The beads shimmered softly within. In an instant, they shattered. One bead slipped from its grasp, tumbled across the polished marble floor, and met its end in a cascade of fragments. A fierce wind whispered through the basilica, despite the absence of open windows. Then a soft murmur floated through the air, weaving between the ancient pillars. "Prepare your heart." Caleb stirred from his slumber, a sharp intake of breath escaping his lips as he pressed a hand to his heart. A chill hung in the air. A profound sorrow lingered upon him, an unseen burden that pressed down with relentless force. He perched on the edge of the bed, gazing into the abyss of darkness. In the stillness that followed, the bells tolled slow, solemn, resonating with a profound depth. The sound reverberated through the Vatican, reminiscent of a somber procession. A knock echoed through the silence. A voice from the shadows emerged, soft as a breeze. His Holiness has passed. Pope Francis had departed. Caleb's dream had transformed into something far more tangible than mere fantasy. It was a portent, and deep within him, a whisper stirred. The winds of change were on the horizon. Cardinal Caleb Mendoza lingered in the hallway of the Apostolic Palace, the resonance of the bells still coursing through him. The passing of Pope Francis reverberated through the church. Yet for Caleb, the impact ran even deeper. In the depths of his dream, the shattered rosary lingered. Was it a harbinger of fate, a glimpse into the future, or merely the embodiment of sorrow? He was unaware. Yet, a restless feeling awakened within him, an unshakable presence that lingered on. As the dawn broke, cardinals from distant lands gathered in the heart of Rome. Some arrived with wise companions and a serene assurance, while others bore the weight of sorrow and shadowy motives. Caleb arrived with nothing but a tattered suitcase, a cherished Bible, and an inexplicable memory that lingered in his mind. He kept the dream to himself, yet its shadows lingered in his mind, particularly when he entered St. Peter's Basilica later that afternoon and beheld, in reality, what had unfolded in his dream. By the side altar, nestled next to a marble bench, a white rosary lay in quiet repose, just one bead absent. His breath faltered. It simply couldn't be done. And there it stood, unmistakably present. He drew near with caution, his fingers quivering as he lifted it from its resting place. The pause was genuine. It was more than mere fantasy. The rosary lay in pieces exactly as he had witnessed. He pivoted, his gaze sweeping across the vast expanse of the church. Yet not a soul seemed to be paying attention. No notes, no explanations needed. Only the rosary and that familiar gentle weight upon his heart. For a fleeting instant, he lost sight of his identity, lost track of the gathering, the intrigue, the weighty choices ahead. Once more, he found himself a barefoot boy, whispering prayers in the winding alleys of Tondo, Manila, holding onto hope as if it were a fragile thread. His mother often shared, God doesn't always announce his presence with thunder. At times, he shatters what we cherish, teaching us to cling more closely to him. That night, within the confines of his chamber, Caleb found himself restless, sleep eluding him like a fleeting shadow. He chose to pray instead. Endless, quiet moments spent nestled by his bedside, the shattered rosary held tightly in his hand. Silence lingered, offering no responses. Only a single word echoed within him: watch. With the dawn of a new day, the stage was set for a series of gatherings. And so, the general congregation commenced its journey. Words flowed like a river, connections subtly woven, and smiles danced with hidden significance. Yet Cardinal Caleb remained a solitary figure. He caught fleeting looks, now subtle ones. A subtle acknowledgement here. A gaze that lingers, holding secrets untold. He believed he was merely conjuring visions in his mind, until an envelope mysteriously found its way beneath his door. Within lay a solitary sheet of paper, adorned with a script that was unfamiliar to him. When a bead shatters, it does not signify the end of the change journey. It signifies the dawn of something fresh. Caleb's hands trembled with a nervous energy. Could this be seen as a beacon of hope, or perhaps a clever twist of fate? He was uncertain. Yet, what truly disturbed him was the arrival of a second dream that very night. On this occasion, the scene unfolded on the balcony of the Vatican. He stood there, draped in white, gazing upon a vast expanse of eager faces. Silence enveloped him. He gently raised the once fractured rosary, now restored to its former glory. And then, he stirred from his slumber. Tears cascaded down his cheeks as he murmured into the stillness, "Please, don't choose me." Yet, the journey of decision had already commenced. 2 days later, under the magnificent ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, the atmosphere was heavy with incense and anticipation. And so, the gathering commenced. The cardinals entered, their crimson robes cascading like streams of heritage. Every footfall resonated with the weight of ages past. Cardinal Caleb Mendoza strolled quietly towards the rear, his head lowered, concealing the shattered rosary tucked away within his sleeve. He kept it all to himself, not a word about the dream, nor the note, and certainly not about the genuine rosary that now resided softly in his pocket. A gentle murmur from the divine. And so, the first round of voting unfolded and passed by. Names were recited with a reverent rhythm. There's a sense of recognition. Some political tales. Then, softly yet with undeniable clarity, Caleb Mendoza. Just once. Yet, there is another perspective. And once more. 5 times. He stood still, caught in the moment. He had cast his vote for an author seasoned, skilled in the art of negotiation, held in high regard by everyone. He had not dared to dream of the moment when his name would echo in the air. And so, it appeared before us. He cast his gaze about the surroundings, a few gazes connected with his, not driven by ambition or pressure, but by curiosity, or perhaps a sense of reverence. On that fateful night, in the solitude of his quarters, Caleb stumbled upon something truly unexpected. Yet another envelope has arrived. No markings, merely a delicate fold of parchment, resting gracefully upon his pillow. He gazed at it for what felt like an eternity before finally deciding to unveil its secrets. Within the confines of the page, inscribed in the familiar script, was a brief message. A shepherd is not selected for his boisterousness. He is selected as the one whom the sheep follow in quietude. He settled into his chair, his hands quivering with unspoken tension. Did he sense a pair of eyes upon him, challenging his resolve? Or was this something celestial? Thoughts swirled within him like a tempest, each one vying for attention. Imagine a scenario where unseen hands were subtly guiding the outcome of the votes. What if they were shaping him into a figure or representative from the outskirts of the church to fulfill appearances? But then, what is the significance of the rosary? What is the purpose of our dreams? He glanced at the nightstand, where the shattered rosary rested, entwined next to his Bible. It had remained by his side ever since that fateful morning in the basilica. As he extended his hand, his fingertips grazed an unexpected presence, his second rosary, gleaming white, flawless in its form. It was a sudden appearance, as if woven from the fabric of the unseen. The room remained untouched, a silent witness to the passage of time. The door stood resolutely locked. He rose suddenly, his heart racing with intensity. He examined the windows, surveyed the hall, and even scrutinized the ceiling. Silence reigns. There was no indication of an entrance. None needed. Ah, behold the new rosary. And there lies another note beneath it. The shattered piece marked the start of something new. The entirety of it resonates as a summons. As dawn broke, the time had come for yet another vote. Caleb stepped into the chapel, his heart a tempest of emotions. He found himself unwillingly caught in this predicament. Yet, he had ceased to feign ignorance of the profound sensation. That something divine was stirring within him. With a quiet resolve, he marked his choice, murmuring softly, "Not for me. It shall never be for me." And yet, the count climbed once more. 8 votes, a whisper of fate in the grand tapestry of decision-making. Then 10, then a dozen. Beyond all others, as he made his way back to his seat, an elderly cardinal extended a hand and softly placed it upon his arm. "The wind dances as it pleases," the man remarked, a gentle smile gracing his face. "We simply lift our sails." Caleb remained silent. Yet, within the depths, a stirring began to recede. It refused to be hushed. In the stillness of the night, Cardinal Caleb Mendoza roamed the shadowy corridors of the Vatican, defying the curfew that cloaked the sacred halls. In the stillness of the marble halls, a hush enveloped the space, interrupted solely by the soft, distant patter of rain against the stained glass. He glided as if straddling the line between the realm of the living and the ethereal. His hand remained tightly wrapped around the white rosary nestled in his pocket, now warmed by his grip, yet still feeling foreign to him. It lacked the essence of the shattered one. It belonged to someone else. He found himself in a side chapel, shrouded in darkness, save for the soft glow of a solitary candle dancing near the altar. He lowered himself to the ground, not in the role of a cardinal, not in the role of a contender, yet as a trembling servant of the divine. "Why me?" he murmured into the silence. "I have not commanded legions. I have not raised my voice in fervor. This was never my desire." Silence lingered in the air. Only the gentle flicker of the candle, accompanied by a whisper of a memory, the sound of his mother's voice. "Gentle, shaped by experience and perseverance. You don't need to be prepared. You only need to have the desire." He reclined, his heart slowly coming apart. 4 years, he devoted himself to the church in its seeking glory, but serving the sick, the poor, the forgotten. He had cleansed the feet that others dared not approach. He had laid to rest those he did not know, kept those in the throes of withdrawal close. He had embraced the earth while others aspired to crowns. Yet perhaps that was the very essence of it all. Perhaps the church was not in need of yet another sovereign. Perhaps it required a soul who still shed tears at farewells, a figure who remained on their knees, bare feet touching the ground, lost in a moment of devotion, a soul unburdened by expectations, radiating nothing but affection. He cast his gaze upon the white rosary once more. "If this is you, Lord," he murmured, "then guide me in surrender." Not in assent. Upon his return to the room, an unseen presence awaited him once more. Yet this time, there was no note to be found. A traveler arrives. Cardinal Elias Hartmann, an elder hailing from Austria, was renowned for his icy logic and an even chillier presence as he stood by the window. He turned with a deliberate grace, offering a single nod. "I caught a glimpse of your name once more," Elias murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. "Once more." Your expression suggested a desire for its absence. Caleb remained silent. Elias drew near. "In times past, I was convinced that power was the prize for those who pursued it. Yet, as I observe you, I ponder if it is meant for those who flee from it." With a graceful motion, he delved into the depths of his robe and retrieved a neatly folded slip of paper. Caleb reached for it, anticipating yet another faceless message, but this time, it held a different essence. It bore the marks of time, its surface a tapestry of yellowed creases. Ancient, this was a gift from my mentor, Elias shared, the day I was elevated to the rank of cardinal. I believe it is yours to hold now. Caleb revealed it with deliberate care. It said, "You shall not bear the weight of the church. Instead, the church shall uplift you. Your only task is to take each step forward." Emotion filled his gaze. For the first time, he felt a sense of liberation. He sensed a deep trust enveloping him. That shift, gentle, serene, sacred, marked the dawn of something new, not driven by ambition, but embraced by acceptance. And from that moment forth, Caleb cast aside his fears of the votes. He trembled at the thought of defiance. The next morning, a gentle rain fell over Vatican City, soft and unyielding, reminiscent of a sacred baptism. Cardinal Caleb Mendoza stood before the mirror in his chamber, fastening the buttons on his crimson cassock with careful precision. Yet today, he stood resolute, no longer shaking. The fear lingered, transformed into a profound acceptance, surrender. Upon his arrival at the Sistine Chapel for the upcoming round of voting, an unmistakable change swept through the atmosphere of the room. Gazes trailed after him, not with doubt, but with a thoughtful curiosity. Several heads lowered in reverence as he made his way through, though the political currents flowed beneath, with some alliances standing resolute. A ripple had disrupted the calm above, a creation born not from careful planning, but from the depths of the soul. As the ballots were distributed, Caleb sensed the soft pressure of the rosary nestled in his sleeve, a comforting weight against his wrist. The aged, tattered relic very one he had lovingly rewrapped and borne once more. He sensed the absence of the missing bead, a void that had transformed from a wound into a mere whisper of what once was. A vow had taken root. This time, as he cast his vote, he inscribed the name of a man he held in high regard, but when the votes were tallied, his heart remained unyielding. Once upon a time, there was a number, 15. Once upon a time, there was a name no one else could compare. Silence enveloped the room. Silence reigns. Only the hush of stillness. A profound, solemn hush. That afternoon, he found himself summoned to an intimate chamber, where 5 esteemed cardinals awaited representatives from 5 distinct corners of the globe. They didn't gather him for a talk. They accepted his words without a hint of doubt. One among them, Cardinal D. Luca, hailing from Brazil, declared with conviction, "The Church has spoken." Another remarked, "You didn't pursue this, and that is the reason it trailed behind you." Caleb, engulfed in a whirlwind of emotions, attempted to voice his dissent. Others possessed greater qualifications, greater wisdom, more prepared. Yet, an elder African cardinal, with kind eyes and a resonant voice, approached and gently rested a weathered hand on Caleb's shoulder. True readiness cannot be gauged by mere words, he declared. It's counted in the marks left behind. Caleb cast his gaze downward, a storm of emotions brewing just beneath the surface. Tears poised to spill over. Then arose the ultimate inquiry, voiced not merely as a formality, but as a hallowed test of resolve. When summoned, "What name will you select?" He paused, caught in a moment of uncertainty. Then came a soft whisper, "Francis." A moment of stillness. "Francis II," he proclaimed with a flourish, not to take his place but to tread the same path he once did. The cardinals shared knowing looks, their eyes weaving a silent tale between them. All remained silent. One even offered a smile. As he made his way back to his room, the rain had finally ceased. The clouds parted, allowing sunlight to cascade into the hallway, shimmering like liquid gold from the heavens above. Upon his bed, where the shattered rosary once lay, there now rested a new one mirroring its design, yet complete. Yet, he extended his hand towards the ancient relic, for it was never about achieving perfection. It was a tale woven from the threads of memory. On that night, Caleb found himself kneeling by his bed, softly uttering a prayer, the very same one that had echoed in his heart since childhood. If it is you, Lord, then guide me. I shall follow no matter where the journey takes us. In the quiet embrace of the moment, a sense of tranquility enveloped him. Not victory, meaning the dawn of the decisive vote unfolded with a hush so deep, it seemed almost reverent, though the sky outside wore a cloak of gray. Inside the Sistine Chapel, a quiet flame flickered in the hearts of the electors. Cardinal Caleb Mendoza moved with a deliberate grace, each step imbued with intention. The marble floor beneath his feet whispered tales of the past, each step echoing with the weight of forgotten stories. He strode forward, no longer weighed down by trepidation, moved as one selected for a purpose, even if the reason eluded him. With the ballots being handed out for the final time, he kept his gaze fixed ahead, ignoring the world around him. He walked his own path, unbothered by the need for validation. Instead, he clutched the shattered rosary close to his sleeve, murmuring a prayer softly, "Let your will, not mine, be done." And so, the count commenced. As the votes were announced, each one unfolded like a chapter and a tale waiting to be told. Caleb Mendoza, once more. Caleb Mendoza, and once more. As the 38th name echoed through the air, he had crossed into a realm beyond the ordinary. A mere simple majority could no longer hold back the tide of what was coming to light. Caleb Mendoza found himself elevated to the papacy. Yet, in that fleeting moment, he remained still. He remained in his seat, eyes closed, palms resting gently on his lap. For an extended moment, silence enveloped him. Some cardinals leaned in. Their curiosity piqued. Others lowered their heads, enveloped in a hush of respect. At last, he lifted his gaze, taking in the crucifix that loomed over Michelangelo's Last Judgment. And he murmured, "Not to reign, to serve." That fateful afternoon, he found himself guided to the room of tears, a place steeped in history, where countless men chosen for the papacy had shed their sorrows within its solemn confines. The vibrant red and white vestments awaited their moment to shine. Upon the table, a gold ring rested, glinting softly in the light. Yet, Caleb chose to walk on by, with his hands resting on the table. He inhaled deeply, gathering his thoughts. His fingers caressed the shattered rosary once again, now nestled in a small pouch hidden beneath his robe. He murmured softly, "I am not worthy, yet I stand ready." The attendants assisted him in donning his attire. He selected the simplest of white attire, declined the elaborate cloak. He chose to forego the traditional golden cross, instead embracing a simple wooden one, a cherished gift from children in Manila many years ago. As he stepped onto the balcony overlooking St. Peter's Square, a hush fell over the gathering below. Eyes from every corner of the earth captured the moment. The crimson curtain parted, revealing him in all his glory. Unassuming, quiet, a gentle breeze danced through his hair. His eyes shimmered with unshed tears, and in his hands, he cradled the shattered rosary softly, with a sense of reverence. As though it were a luminous crown, he paused, allowing the silence to linger before uttering a word. With a gentle motion, he lifted the rosary and pressed it tenderly against his heart. Then, with a voice unwavering yet brimming with feeling, he spoke, "Before I address you as a leader, allow me to reflect as a child." And so he did, in lingua latina, sa Tagalog, in quietude. In the days that followed, every paper was alive with headlines: the humble Pope, from Manila to the papacy, a shepherd, not a king. Yet, Caleb chose not to delve into their pages, for he had no desire to etch his name into the annals of time. He felt a deep calling to serve to the divine, to those overlooked, to the wounded, much like that elusive bead. As the years unfolded, Pope Francis II remained steadfast, never permitting the burdens of his esteemed title to cast a shadow over his spirit. The magnificence of the Vatican enveloped him, yet it never truly penetrated his being. His chambers were adorned with simplicity, turned away from the golden throne, shared a quiet meal with the kitchen crew. Awakened before the first light, he knelt beside his modest bed, clutching the same worn rosary, its absent bead now delicately bound in gold thread by a kind nun from his hometown, a mark transformed into something divine. In every place he ventured, the murmurs of the crowd echoed, "He sees us." And indeed, he did. Conflict-ridden landscapes, behind the walls of confinement, isolated communities of those afflicted, whispers of forgotten villages. Caleb ventured into realms seldom tread by those of the papal lineage. He pressed his lips to the cheeks of fading children and lands untouched by the eyes of reporters. He tenderly washed the feet of women who had been trafficked. He welcomed the outcasts with warmth, his gaze unwavering and kind. He never wove together grand political speeches. He wove tales, uncomplicated tales, of mothers whispering their hopes, of children embracing the light of forgiveness, of rosaries held tightly in the shadows. And wherever he traveled, tears flowed not due to his identity, but because of the way he made others feel, acknowledged, adored, recalled. When inquired about his reluctance to don the papal ring beyond ceremonial occasions, he responded softly, "Because my hands are meant for embracing the broken, not adorned with gold." He encountered resistance. Naturally, voices of dissent echo from traditionalists, world leaders, and even from within the sacred halls of the church. Yet he stood steadfast not out of arrogance, but from a deep-seated belief. He had embraced his true self and the purpose bestowed upon him. Within the sacred walls of the Vatican, aides frequently stumbled upon small notes hidden away in pews or nestled beneath cherished relics. Prayers penned by hand, words of inspiration. No signatures were affixed. Yet, all of them knew the script well, and forever. The concluding phrase echoed, "May they gaze not upon me, O Lord, only upon the one who has dispatched me." And so it was that people did. On a serene night, as he reached the twilight of his 83rd year, the Holy Father drifted into slumber beneath the gentle embrace of the open window in his humble chamber. Without any grand gestures, there will be no concluding remarks. A gentle whisper of wind wafts in from the garden, mingling with the serene rhythm of his breath as it gradually slows, then falls silent. The world stirred with a sense of awe, embracing the news rather than succumbing to sorrow. Flickering lights shone across the world. The resonant chime of bells echoed through churches, schools, and slums alike. In Tondo, a boy dashed barefoot through the alleyway, a plastic rosary gripped tightly in his hand, exclaiming, "He was one of us." In the dim light of his chamber, adjacent to the pristine papal bed, lay the fractured rosary, its beads arranged with care upon the nightstand, yet one bead was conspicuously absent. Yet close by, a letter rested, penned by Caleb himself, directed to no specific soul and yet to all. The throne was never the true prize. It was forever centered on the knees, and across the world, hearts shattered and mended, not due to the passing of a pope, but rather in honor of the life of a devoted servant. The tale of Pope Francis II unfolds not in the realms of grandeur, titles, or legacy. It weaves a tale of loyalty amidst uncertainty, and grace when confronted with authority. Cardinal Caleb Mendoza never yearned for glory. He never sought the mantle of leadership. Yet, as the world cast its gaze upon him, he found himself looking to the divine. In that moment of yielding, he discovered the essence of his true power. The shattered rosary transcended mere symbolism. It reflected the depths of the soul, a contemplation on the way each individual bears their own scars, imperfections, and vulnerabilities. And yet, through belief, Those flaws transform into the very places where grace finds its way in. Francis II revealed to all that true leadership lies not in dominion, but in humility and service. That sacredness doesn't roar, it gently speaks through compassion, being there, and selflessness. He revealed that the mightiest presence in the gathering frequently comes from the one who utters few words yet absorbs every sound around them. His journey teaches us that one can resonate without raising their voice. Perfection is not a prerequisite for being selected.